Welcome into the College Football Every Game on the Board podcast, part number 1 with our leadoff hitter, Jeff Nadu, the big man on campus. We're hitting the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday slate for college football on the top of the Saturday card. So thanks for joining us, guys, wherever you're downloading your podcast at. Every Game on the Board. Without further ado, at Jeff Nadu on Twitter, the big man. Welcome on in, buddy.
Thank you for having me, Drew, as always. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to talking week 7. We're about halfway through the season. And, I will say right out of the gate, I've noticed on the East Coast this weekend, there's going to be a lot of weather issues, rain, not a lot of wind, though. So I think that'll be all right.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. And I don't know about tonight's game. There is a little bit of rain in Miami, New Mexico. Usually not a whole lot of rain. But, as we get into the top of the Saturday card, guys, watch out for that as we'll start off here Wednesday, October 11th. That is tonight as we're recording on Wednesday. 7:30 Eastern, 107, 108, the rotation number here. UTEP and FIU. We get 44 being the total, big man, -3. That's the Golden Panthers at home in the cage, West Miami. You liking anything? Miners and Panthers. UTEP versus FIU to kick us off.
Yeah, not much I'm going to be betting here. I always like to give an opinion on every game. When you look at both these teams, both are poor, but I think FIU's in a better spot. They're obviously at home in this game. UTEP is not the same team they were 2 or 3 weeks ago. Not that they were ever good, but they're possibly going to be dealing with playing their 4th-string quarterback tonight. They have a lot of issues at quarterback right now, and that's the reason this line has went from UTEP being a favorite to FIU being a field goal favorite. I mean, they were 2.5 about an hour ago. Now it's up to 3. A lot of money coming in on the Golden Panthers here. I think they're probably the slightly better defense. They're definitely the better offense at this point. I have a hard time betting UTEP at any level right now. It would be FIU, maybe a shot at the under too. I just don't think we see much in the way of offense here. Not a game I'll be betting, though. I'm off it.
Any advice on, I'm debating whether to go down to the game here, big man. It's about an hour from where I live. Do you think I should go about it?
No, I would virtually do anything other than go to this game, probably. Go spend your money and, I don't know, take out your girlfriend or something. I don't know.
Last time I went to an FIU game, they were just giving out the tickets anyway. But so I don't know. I'm debating on it, guys. If anybody out there is in or around the area, hit me up on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. We got 9 o'clock Eastern, the nightcap for Conference USA. Sam Houston State and New Mexico State. Guys, Conference USA is playing Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday all through the month of October. From a marketing perspective, I think it's smart, big man, but also it creates these travel situations. Like Sam Houston State just played last week, actually on a short week in Liberty, which is more on the East Coast. Now they're heading out to New Mexico. I think this is a tough travel spot. The market doesn't care as much, though, as the money's come in on the Bearcats. 42 being the total. We're seeing New Mexico State -3.5 as the home favorite in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we look at Sam Houston, I think it's important to look at kind of where we are with this team. Look, they're 0-5, right? But you look at who they played at BYU, Air Force, Houston, Liberty, Jacksonville State. With the exception of Jacksonville State, which they actually were winning that entire game and managed to screw it up late. With the exception of that, those 4 teams are all very solid groups. Most of them are either great defensively or great offensively. So they haven't exactly, I think, been bad. They just aren't up to this level yet. They're coming over from the FCS. I feel like if they can play a team that they can kind of get into their offense a little bit, which would be a group like New Mexico State, I have to figure that's why the money's coming in on Sam Houston. I think defensively they actually match it pretty well too. New Mexico State really wants to run the football. Sam Houston's been a great run defense all season. I just don't know that I'm that worried about the New Mexico State passing offense, and I think this does kind of set up well for them. Again, you can't, I think, look at 0-5 and say, well, they suck. Well, maybe they do, but again, they played really good competition. And in the one game where they played a group kind of on their level, I mean, you got to remember, they were up, I think, 21-3 at one point in that game, 21-7. They ended up losing in overtime. But I think in this game, it'd be Sam Houston or pass. I want to make this and remain this clear. I'm not betting either of these games tonight. Just no interest.
Big man, let's head on to the Thursday slate here. Some AAC action. SMU in East Carolina. We get the Mustangs, heavy road favorites here, laying 12 on the highway, 49.5 being the total, 7:30 Eastern Thursday, SMU and ECU.
Yeah, so SMU is significantly improved on the defensive side of the football. I mean, that's something that over the years, and they were always a great over team because they didn't stop anybody. But they've looked pretty good defensively for the most part, all in all, outside of that game against TCU. But look, TCU is still a damn good offense, and this is an ECU team that is not going to threaten them. I have noticed, though, that early ECU money has come in. About 70% of the actual money being bet is on ECU, and that's pushed this number down to around the 12 mark. Look, I don't really know what's getting people excited about betting ECU. I think the thought is that maybe this game turns into a bit of a shootout. I have to ask myself, though, is ECU capable of playing in a shootout? I mean, at what point is this offense look good this year outside of, I guess, maybe that game against Appalachian State, but this isn't a vintage Mountaineer team. Didn't look real good against Rice. I've watched this team a lot, ECU. They just don't have very good quarterback play. I think the one good thing about ECU is their defense is actually all right. Both these defenses are actually pretty good. I'd probably be looking at more like an under here. This kind of screamed, I don't know, 28-17, something like that. I'm going to be kind of looking maybe at taking a shot with the under. My issue is I feel like this number you could have got a better price, and you definitely could have. I mean, this game was, 54 on Sunday, I believe. So, yeah, this has moved a lot.
Yeah, it is a pretty heavy move towards the under, guys. And we got maybe the marquee matchup here for Thursday night football. West Virginia and Houston. Dana Holgerson going against his old team here. We're seeing anywhere from -2.5 to -3, kind of a split line on a key number here, big man. 49.5 being the total. West Virginia at Houston Thursday night.
Yeah, I've kind of made it clear over the years I'm not a big fan of either of these coaches, particularly Dana Holgerson. Just not a guy that I'm real high on, right? But you look at West Virginia, I've been pretty happy with what I've seen from this team. I did not think they'd be capable of winning 4 or 5 games all season, let alone already having 4 wins. I thought that was a gutsy win. In fact, a couple of gutsy wins recently. And what it's shown me is that this team is kind of polar opposite of what we always have thought they were, kind of a high-flying offense, a group that struggled to defend, but they've ran the ball effectively. The defense has been solid, and their quarterback play has been a lot better than I thought it would be. Garrett Green's done a pretty nice job when he's healthy. He didn't really have to do that much, though, the other night against TCU because they ran the ball pretty well. I don't know. Houston is, I think, going to struggle in their move. For them, I would have highly recommended them staying where they were. But again, it's all about money. It's not about whether we can compete or not. Either or, this isn't a vintage Houston team. They lost a lot of talent last year, losing Tank Dell and their quarterback Clayton Tune. I'm not a big Donovan Smith guy. He's kind of been a retread, moving on from Texas Tech, then to Houston. Don't have much in this game. I think if I had to play either of these ones on Thursday, I'd probably lean with that under. But again, I can't bet into moves. And again, to me, neither have much value.
Guys, we got a trifecta of Friday night lights game here on the college football slate. We got Tulane, Memphis, Stanford, and Colorado, and Fresno State, Utah State we're going to hit here. So Friday, October 13th, 1-2-1, 1-2-2 as we're going down in rotation order, 7 o'clock Eastern, Tulane and Memphis. Big man, I kind of like the green wave here, but laying the points on the road, always a question. -4.5 at most sports books right now. That's Willie Fritz and Tulane as the road favorite. 54.5 being the total. Tulane at Memphis in the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, this has turned into one of the more perplexing moves I've seen this week. I don't understand why this number's at 54.5. When this number opened at like 58, I thought that was a decent price on an over. I thought this was first to 30 wins. I mean, the last 2 seasons, this game's gotten well into the 60s. I looked at the injury reports, don't see any issues there. And maybe this is something that just hasn't come out yet. Weather looks sunny and not windy. I don't understand this total. I didn't understand it. I don't understand it. When I look at Tulane, I think a lot of it has to do possibly with the people that believe Tulane's defense is good. I think we have to kind of pull back the brakes a bit. Let's actually look at what this defense has done this year, okay? I thought, they held South Alabama in check, but that was the first game of the season, so kind of throw that one out. Ole Miss scored 37. That's not a good defensive performance. They played Southern Miss, who can't move the ball. Nicholls State can't move the ball. And UAB put up 23 and had 450 yards of offense. I think we're kind of buying into a defense that maybe isn't very good. Also, keep in mind, Michael Pratt's back and healthy. Seth Hennigan's good to go. That defense has been a disaster recently at Memphis. They give up over 500 yards against Boise. I don't really get this number. I don't know why it's come down. And anything under 55, I think is a damn good play. I think we've learned, and I've talked about this. I do a show with Peter Loshek, and him and I have talked about these total moves have not made sense. For instance, Toledo, right? Toledo for the last 2 or 3 years, sharp money bets their under every game, and it never has worked. I don't know why they keep doing it. I think one thing I've learned about moves with totals, I don't really pay much attention to them a lot of the time. A lot of the time just trust the quarterback play, the playmakers. I don't really love either defense. I think this is a back and forth game, 31-28, 34-31. I'm going to lean on betting the over here.
Big man, just to kind of piggyback on what you're talking about, I've talked about this on other shows before. I don't think I've ever ran it past you. I feel that I'm interested in your thoughts on this. I feel that sports betting kind of media coverage content, if you will, is becoming, so kind of mainstream out there and kind of overdone that people will talk about sharp, square, public, whatever sides, totals. I think it's just overdone. Like it's not that important. Give me the matchup handicap. What, offensive, defensive lines are going to dominate, what quarterback, that kind of matchup handicap, I think is so much more important in this, like, oh, the money's here and this is the sharp side, is just overplayed. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that seemingly is a lot of people's like handicap nowadays, where they really don't know quite what to say. So they just say, oh, well, sharp money's, look, with sides, I think it's generally important, right? Like if you have a 50-50 split, but 80% of the money's on a side, that indicates that early, sharper, better, smarter money is coming in. And generally, if you ride with that side, you'll likely win. But when it comes to totals, there are two things people put way too much emphasis on. That kind of move, the moves and stuff, and pace. Okay. I've told you before, pace is nice, but it does not dictate whether I'm going to bet an over under or not. Because you know what begets pace? Good quarterback play, quality receivers, just good offense, explosive plays once in a while. Again, I'm willing to kind of just say if I have two good quarterbacks and two defenses that I don't trust, weather's all right, we have a playmaker or two, I'm going to lean on betting the over. I mean, look at LSU. Prime example, LSU. Everyone and their mother said this year how great LSU's defense is. We quickly realized it wasn't good. And generally, if you just bet the over in their games, you're likely going to win every time. It wouldn't matter if LSU played the slowest pace in the country. They still have good weapons. They still have just better athletes than a lot of teams. Their defense in the secondary isn't good. It's pretty simple. So, yeah, for me, I think you're 100% right with that whole thing. You see like people like Chris Felica, people like that have become these betting people, which I don't really know where they came from. I don't know. I guess because he has glasses and he looks kind of like nerdy. He knows what he's doing when it comes to gambling, but I don't know that I really see it. I think you have to just kind of go with what you think works. And look, Drew, whether or not you like me, you like you, we've been doing this a long time. You can go back to me doing these things in 2014. I've been doing this almost 10 years. I know what works and what doesn't. Am I going to win every single week, every single month, every single year? No. But I feel like I have a pretty good indication of what works. And I think you're dead right. Sometimes you have to go with what makes sense. And I'll say this one final thing. When you're betting sports, when you're looking at college, it's way more information-based, i.e., the players involved. The NFL, things like that, the NBA, I couldn't care at all about players, quite honestly. And that's just the truth. You can bet an NBA game and strictly just look at the numbers, like the percentage and betting. That's all that matters. Like if you told me a player was out, I don't even look at who's in Hampton. I don't care. Like I just bet. I've told you that. There'll be NBA games where I couldn't even tell you if LeBron James is playing. I don't even look at that. It's not what matters. All you can do is make money by looking at the games and how they're being bet.
Well said. At Jeff Nadu on Twitter. Check him out in his podcast, The Sit Down with Jeff Nadu. He takes a look at all kinds of things, really. I've seen him south of the border taking a look at Mexican cartels, the
Yeah,
mafia.
I have a full potpourri of what I do. I do sports betting and I talk about depraved criminals. That's pretty much my life. So
He's very well versed, well talented in many facets, and he does have a pack of Viva Tequila Seltzer in the coming weeks. We're going to do
I forgot about that. I have those in my fridge. I actually drank a few. They're good.
You like them? All right, good.
I do,
well, maybe next week we could do an on air.
Remind me right before the show. I'll make sure I grab one.
All right, cool, guys. Make sure to check them out. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. You can get the grapefruit right here. It's the pink version. They actually got 4 flavors, and happy to have them as the proud sponsor of the Every Game on the Board podcast. And Viva Tequila Seltzer, the ultimate go-to for toasting those winning picks. 88 calories, 0 carbs, no sugar, 4.5% ABV. Viva, the perfect match for celebrating those victories. We got next game up here, Friday night lights. I don't remember Colorado having a night game yet this season. And of course, the Prime effect, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders getting there. It should be a pretty good atmosphere. Late night, Friday night here. Stanford at Colorado, minus 11.5. That is Colorado as the home favorite. 58.5 being the total. Stanford, Colorado in Boulder. You liking anything?
Yeah, the only way I'd look here is, and I read a lot of things about Colorado. They've kind of had that gauntlet, right? Last couple of weeks. I mean, not necessarily last week. Won the game, though. They'll take it. They're still not playing real well defensively. Okay, we all know that. To me, though, this is, as you said, home game, under the lights. You had that gauntlet. You're through it now. And you have a awful football team coming in. Like, just a really bad football team coming in. I can't willingly bet Colorado's full game lines because, look, it wouldn't surprise me if they allow Stanford to move the ball. I don't want to worry about that unit. I just don't think they're very good. I do kind of view this as a get-right game offensively. We saw Shador against USC really put it together in the second half. They look like the vintage Colorado offense. And look, I said before, I like their offense. I don't love their offensive line. I don't think they'll be tested much by the Stanford defensive group. I think this is a 40 spot for Colorado. I don't know if they'll be good enough defensively. It seems like a good spot to back Colorado. I just have a hard time in viewing what I've seen from that defense, betting on them to win by double digits. It's not just something I want to do. I will say, I think I'm not a big proponent of teasers. I just don't bet them really ever, especially in college. But if I find two sides in this point range, like where I can get below 10 and below 7, I'm willing sometimes to do that, or like, let's say 6 to pick them. This is a decent spot there, but I just look at 35 and a half, the team total. I kind of viewed this as a 40 spot for Colorado. And this viewed to me is a lot like the first 3 games they had, where what do we remember Colorado? Remember, they rolled, they put up a lot of points. They had success on offense. And remember, this is something where pace helps you, right? There is a spot where pace isn't going to hurt you to me. It'll only help you. And in this spot, the more plays I run, the more possessions I'm going to have. And when I bet, i.e. a team that is the favorite, when I need them to score points, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Also, you want to surround yourself. How many are these teams scoring touchdowns in the red zone? That's something you have to look at in the NFL. If you're not looking at that, you're going to struggle. Like, it's rare. Look, the Eagles, for instance, they're in the bottom 5 in the league in red zone scoring percentage. They have a great offense, though. Think about if they got their offensive numbers in the red zone up. They would be the best offense in the league. It wouldn't be close. You got to be good at scoring touchdowns. Luckily, they are. That's not normal, though. Colorado has actually been very good in the red zone. They generally score when they get the ball inside the 20. In fact, they're at 100%, Drew. They've scored anytime they've had the ball in the red zone. They found a way to score points.
Like it. Bringing the heat here on the Every Game on the Board podcast. The big man on campus at Jeff Nadu on Twitter. We got Fresno State and Utah State up next. A little Mountain West battle here. -5. That's the Bulldogs as the road favorite. Fresno's been pretty good this year, guys. 57 being the total. And to Logan, Utah. That's Fresno State at Utah State. Friday night lights, big man.
Yeah, this is definitely more the spread profile that I want. But then again, I look at this Fresno team. I mean, have we kind of overrated them? I mean,
Maybe.
Last week they lose. I mean, the week before, a wretched beat. They were a big favorite. gave up a touchdown with about 12 seconds to go against the lowly Nevada Wolfpack. I think there's one thing you can say about Utah State. Their games are fun, right? Back and forth. I'm always going to, whenever I see a group that scores 35 plus a game and gives up 30 plus a game, I'm always going to look to bet the over. Fresno will move the ball in this game. That's not going to be a problem. I see a total at 57.5. This number has been bet up, and it should be. I don't see a lot of defense, especially on the Utah State side. They don't stop anybody. This game kind of views to me as like, I don't know, 38, 31, 35, 27, something like that. I'm going to lean over. I think Fresno State's defense is solid, but Utah State, you have to kind of give them some credit. They've always been a good offense, regardless of who's been there. They, under Blake Anderson, always pressed the ball. They were really good last week offensively. Cooper Legis is a good quarterback, man. He had almost 400 passing yards last week, 4 touchdowns. I lean over here.
All right, looking for some points there in Logan as we'll head to the Saturday, October 14th card here, guys. Going down in rotation order to hit every single game on the board. 125, 126, top of the card Saturday. Maction, Kent State, and Eastern Michigan. We are seeing EMU minus 10-point home favorites, 39.5 being the total. So we're getting a double-digit favorite with a total less than 40. That's always a little bit tricky. Kent State, though, some people regarding as the worst team in college football, heading to the gray turf here, big man.
Yeah, I think they are one of the worst teams in college football. That said, I mean, I think one of the most notoriously bad things you could ever do as a bookmaker is list EMU as a favorite. I don't know why this team is a favorite. In fact, the fact that they're a double-digit favorite is amazing to me. I mean, this team is atrocious laying points. I mean, they just don't cover. It's just that simple. I think they're 2-7 over the last 9 as a favorite. I'm going to go ahead and guess under Chris Creighton, have they ever covered a double-digit number? I'd have to look back and see, but it's not often they're a favorite. They just shouldn't be a favorite of this point level. I go back to a game, they were an 8-point favorite against UMass, another bad team. UMass should have won the game, if not turning the ball over. So, yeah, under no circumstance would I ever bet EMU as a favorite. I don't care that last week they won by double digits. To do it 2 times in a row, it's just not a norm. But I look at this total and I feel like, how does this get to 40? I think that's kind of a question. This is an ugly one. It would be Kent State plus 10, but I'm only giving you that because you're asking me. This wouldn't get my worst enemy's money.
Yeah, I'm looking now. I mean, they were only a favorite by more than 10 once this season, and no, they did not cover. So I don't know, guys. Maybe you can help us out in the comments. Has Eastern Michigan ever covered as a double-digit favorite?
I think it's important again to remember, like under that coach, like they just don't like they're a great dog. Like if you're getting them plus 8 against like I don't know Ohio or something, you maybe play it. But like as a favorite, I don't want to lay 3, 7. I definitely don't want to lay 10. So yeah, I no interest. They're just not a favorite type team. Not a bad spread profile.
Guys, welcome in the comments if you're watching on YouTube as well. Every game on the board, wherever you're downloading your podcasts at as well. We got Mike in the house. We got
thank you, Mike.
Yeah, for sure, man. Condolences to Big Man. To sit down there, guys, if you want to give him a follow for his podcast, obviously at Jeff Nadu on Twitter. He knows all things sports betting. So man of many talents here. And we got 3 games left. Leadoff hitter. 127, 128, 330 Eastern, Illinois and Maryland up next here. 14 is the number. That's the Terps laying in College Park. 51 the total for this Big Ten matchup.
Yeah, I see that some of the early money that's come in. And again, remember, if you're seeing money coming in on Monday and Tuesday, that is not your hot dog eating, finger waving fan at a casino. It's just not. These are smarter people. These are people that have bet for a while. So again, you have to respect it a little bit. That said, I mean, Illinois is one of the only teams in America, Drew, that has not covered one game this year. They're 0-6 against the number. That's hard to do. And you look at kind of what the issue for this team is. I've said before, they're bad on offense. And defensively, they lost their coordinator, Ryan Walters. He went to Purdue. Devin Witherspoon went to the NFL. Sidney Brown went to the NFL. Their secondary is a mess. They can't stop anybody. This defense is not just like kind of bad. They're bad. And I'll tell you this, Maryland, I like this team. I love them on offense. Roman Hemby is a great running back. I like Tolia, obviously. They have kids that can catch the football and kind of get some yak, things of that nature. And defensively, I've been pretty impressed overall. The one, I think, knock, and I think maybe what sharper people are looking at and why this number's come off of 14 is Maryland, as far as strength of schedule, Drew, do you know where they are out of 133 teams? Are you aware?
I do not know.
132nd.
Oh,
so they haven't played anyone. Now, again, I think I'd kind of refute that and say, well, this is a bad team. So, like, you should be able to kind of take care of business. I will say, I think if you like Illinois, I did identify early in the season against, and weirdly enough, Drew, I spent a lot of time watching Maryland games for whatever reason. They were losing at halftime against Charlotte. They were losing, I think, or tied at halftime with Virginia. They struggled, I believe, in the first half against Towson. They've had some weird kind of starts. I don't know. I'm not betting Illinois, but Maryland, I wonder, are they as good as a dog and they're just going to kind of struggle as a favorite a little bit? Keep in mind, they were not particularly strong at the beginning of the year. Maybe they're starting to figure it out, though. I lean Maryland here, but I don't know why this has come off of 14. It's hard. Why are sharps betting a 0-6 team against the number? Why are they betting on that team? I don't get it. It's a weird one for me.
Yeah, head scratcher a little bit here, guys, as we got 2 games left and 2 good ones to end part 1 of the Every Game on the Board for Week 7 college football with our leadoff hitter, Jeff Nadu. NC State and Duke, 46.5 being the total. We're seeing the Blue Devils -3 in the hook at home. Remember their quarterback, Leonard, he got injured on the last play of the game. Last game, they had a bye week, kind of an interesting tidbit there, but we're seeing the Wolfpack at the Blue Devils up next, 8 p.m. in Durham. You liking anything here, big man?
Yeah, I mean, college football is all about foreshadowing. In fact, any sport's all about foreshadowing. You can get very good numbers if you gamble. And when I mean gamble, you have to go to blogs. You have to get into message boards. You got to find somebody that knows Riley Leonard and say, give it to me straight, bro. What's going on with this guy? Is he good to go? From what I've seen, he's day to day. To me, I've heard a lot of positive outlooks. This game is getting money early on Duke. So what does that mean? That means that there are people that have a strong indication that he's going to play. And look, if he plays, they will cover. NC State is, I hate this team. This team is brutal. Brennan Armstrong has essentially been benched. You look at the trajectory of his career. I remember when he was at Virginia in 2021, there was talk that he was a Heisman Trophy candidate. Mm-hmm. You look at where he is now. I mean, he has just exponentially gotten worse. I mean, it's amazing. I think if he plays, I think you have to lean on Duke. Look, if he's healthy, this number is probably getting up near 5, I would think. Duke's defense is stingy. Yeah, I think anything under 4, I would probably just key in on Duke. It looks to be that he's going to play. You look at, again, all the early money has come in on Duke, which tells me that people know something about Riley Leonard.
Sure, at home. Durham had a great atmosphere last time. We'll see if they can carry that over.
You mentioned off a bye too as well for Duke. This is kind of one of this good spot. So yeah, I like it.
Good point. Guys, we got last game here for the part number 1. We'll get a best bet from Big Man as well. A good one in the SEC, 3:30 game of the week, CBS, 131, 132, Texas A&M and Tennessee. We are seeing the Vols -3.5 point home favorites, 55 the total. Texas A&M coming off that tough loss to Alabama. Tennessee off of a bye week. Neyland Stadium, you like it anything here?
Yeah, I don't understand this number. Look, I've always felt like 3 points is a little too many for home field advantage, just personally. Let me ask you, Drew, do you think that Texas A&M going on the road, do you think that actually really affects how they play? Because let's be real. I mean, all these individuals that played in high-profile games. You don't go to Texas A&M as some nobody that's never played at a place like this. I don't know. It just doesn't mean that much to me. Like, I guess if you're going to give me a couple of points, like, I get it. But let's ask ourselves. Texas A&M lost to Alabama, but I don't know. I still think they're a good defense. Like, I still think they're better defensively than Tennessee. And I think like Texas A&M. I don't take that much away. I mean, they only lost by 6. They only give up 26 points. I mean, I like A&M. I think the wrong team's favorite here, personally. If you told me Texas A&M was a 1.5 point favorite, I would probably bet them here. I don't think it means that much to me. You're going to give me 3.5 points. I think they bounce back here. Tennessee is, a solid team. I like Joe Milton, but I don't want to curse, but who the hell have they played? I mean, why the hell is Texas A&M ranked or Tennessee ranked? What the hell have they done this year? They beat Virginia, Austin Peay, lost to Florida, beat UTSA, who didn't have Frank Harris, and beat South Carolina, who's majorly disappointing. Why the hell is this team ranked? I mean, seriously.
No, you're bringing up good points.
True. What are we doing here? The one game that they should have won where they never beat Florida, guess what? They did not only beat Florida, they lost by 13.
Yeah, it wasn't that competitive. You're right.
Why are they a favorite here? I don't understand this.
I'm with you. I have Texas A&M circled. I was reading about it and their head coach Heupel. I guess he's like 7-1 off of a bye or something. Sometimes there's something to that, I feel, but that's not all at Tennessee.
Remember, those were at UCF where he was playing not as good competition, and they had certainly some great quarterbacks there, right?
Yeah, they did.
And then it was with who else?
Hendon Hooker last year, yeah.
Right. It just doesn't. That's another problem we have in this world. And not for nothing, you didn't say. You're just saying that's what you think. But there will be people that will list that as a valid reason to back Tennessee, and it's like, well, what does that matter? It's like these people that go, well, since 1985, it's like, so? Like, what does that matter? Like, they literally could be a totally different team. Those people in 1985 are literally senior citizens now. What the hell does that matter? What are we doing here? That means if they were in college in 1985, they're 60 years old-ish. What the hell does that matter? It's such a wild world we live in and you have people that are like celebrated. Oh my God, he's such a good handicapper. It's like, no, what the hell does that matter? It's like when I was 6 years old, I liked broccoli and now I don't. Who cares?
Big man, to answer your question on the home field advantage, I'm with you. I think it's overrated in a lot of aspects. I struggle with how to factor in like the band and the loud and is it affecting the communication? In some instances, I think it does, but actually I'll add on to this. Like, I think it matters more for like when we talked Sam Houston State at New Mexico State, because those travel budgets are a lot less. That's not very comfortable travel going from Liberty to Las Cruces, New Mexico on 5 days. That's tougher than say Texas A&M that's going to sit on a comfy, private jet and fly into Tennessee, stay at a pretty nice hotel. Like, that is a little bit less for my handicap. It's the same thing in the NFL.
Right. And remember as well, like Kyle Field or whatever that's called. Texas A&M, I mean, it's loud there too.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I look at all the kind of metrics in this game and I don't know that I don't really understand this number, quite honestly. I don't see it with Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Texas A&M side as well. So, guys, that's part number 1. We'll be back with 133, 134 Syracuse and Florida State. Again, we're brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer, vivatequilaseltzer.com. No sugar, guys. So if you don't like a hangover, Viva Tequila Seltzer is for you. Please smash that like button, comment below, guys. Huge shout out to everybody commented last week. And Jeff, you're becoming a fan favorite here, man. The people liking your breakdowns, your information. So do you have any final thoughts here before we shut it down? And do you have a best bet for the listeners?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Penn State. Their team total is 47.5. I'm going to rock with that in this game. I think this is a 50 spot for the Nittany Lions. I think this is the best offense there in a long time. I love Drew Aller. They are off a bye week, and they're playing UMass. UMass is disaster on defense. I mean, they have been horrific. They're giving up about 40 points a game. This is a group that gave up 52 last week or 2 weeks ago to Arkansas State, gave up 41 to Toledo. Miami of Ohio dropped 41 on this team. We look at Penn State in the one kind of FCS or low-end game they played. I think they scored 63 against Delaware. I think they should be high and ready to go. We know James Franklin loves to kind of run scores up. All I need is 48 here to get a winner. Penn State, I think they'll use their defense to create more possessions. I like that one here. This is interesting because the numbers dropped to 41.5 from 42, which is interesting to me. But at really every level, I just don't know how UMass compete defensively in this game. Not a good pass off or not a good pass defense. This is one of the worst rush defenses in America, giving up 6 yards a carry. There's going to be big yardage on plays here for Penn State. I like them to score 50 plus.
Okay, so big man, is it Penn State on the side? We can give you minus 41.5.
I'm going to go Penn State team total over. I see 47.5.
Okay.
I'm going to rock with that. That is at, I believe, DraftKings.
Okay, so the team total, guys, on Penn State, I like it as well. James Franklin running it up. That's been
And I think if you don't have a team total, I mean, I think that the side will be just fine. I mean, it's a great defense for Penn State as well.
All right, good stuff. Guys, smash that like button, comment below. Jeff, leading us off here and doing a great job as always. Guys, follow him on Twitter at Jeff Nadu. That does it for the segment. We'll be back with part number 2 shortly. Guys, until then, Jeff, we'll talk next week and cash those tickets.
Thanks, Drew.